Happy New Year, Libra. Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au, and I've got a list of just a few significant transits that I think are going to colour your year in 2020. Let me just get my self organised here for you. It's been a really intense 2019, I think you'll agree, and you can see here in the lower part of your horoscope this congestion of planets in the area relating to your domestic sphere. We talked about that in December 2019, but I wanted to distract you from that for a moment to show you this upper part of the horoscope where the first lunar eclipse of 2020 is going to take place. Here in the 10th house of your horoscope, in the domain of career and work. You'll notice also that the North Node, the shadowy planet responsible for your desires, your rebirth, your transmigration, is here. And that is why the eclipse is going to take place here. So there's a strong refocusing of your energies at the very outset of 2020 in this area, and that's going to offset this domestic stellium, as we call it here in the lower part of the horoscope. Now, on March 22nd, Saturn moves out of this sector, at least for a while. Sun will also have moved out of there. Mercury will have moved out of there. So there's going to be a lot less pressure on your domestic sphere by this time. But that's only a temporary measure. Saturn moves into this 5th house, which is the creative area of your horoscope. And then on July 4th, retrogrades back into this area, meaning you haven't yet completed your business in family, either with your mother, with siblings, with anyone that's connected, particularly with your historic family. And that's very, very important because you need to tie up loose ends this year. Now, on May 5th, speaking about the North Node here, this planet retrogrades. It's generally always retrograding and moving counter to the planets to your 9th house, which is the higher mind, which is the principle of spiritual ambition, compared to this 10th house. It's interesting that they sit next to each other. So this commences an 18-month cycle where your karma shifts from this wholly work-based focus to this spiritual leaning. Now, it's not just spiritual. It has to do with higher educational pursuits. It has to do with foreign journeys. It has to do with foreign cultures, legal matters. And wherever this planet is transiting, it casts a shadow over it. I was saying to some of the other star signs that your desires will be big, but they won't necessarily be fulfilled in the way that you want. So you need to be careful what it is what do they say? Be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. Sometimes the North Node or Rahu gives you what you desire and then quickly snatches it away. And its lesson there is one of dispassion, learning not to grasp or to hold on to things for too long. Things have a use-by date, including ourselves. So you must never become attached, or too attached anyhow. At least if you are attached, have that sense that nothing is here forever. And I think that's going to be the shift for you in that middle part of the year when the North Node transits to that area. Incidentally, the opposite part of this axis transits your 3rd house, past karma. And 3rd house has to do with siblings. Yes, it's got to do with your mind, but this may have to do with resolving some karma. Please excuse me, I've had a really bad flu lately. So levelling the playing field there, burying the hatchet, solving those ongoing issues will also be one of the critical points. June 6th, there's a lunar eclipse again in this area too. So that takes place after this transit of the South Node. So that is going to be significant for you. It also has to do with the way you think about things. So there can be a radical departure from your habitual way of thinking, your habitual way of problem solving. That can be a good thing. It gives you a lateral view of things in your life after this point. That's June 6. June 21, 2 eclipses in the 1 month. This one taking place. Again, you can see how the themes start to add up. Another theme here, the career theme, a total solar eclipse. Well, it may not be total, but it's an eclipse happening here in this career sector again. Adding weight to that first eclipse of the year that took place on January 11. So you're being pulled back to this whole focus on your work, your career, and also your identity, because the sun sign has a lot to do with your character. But this 10th house has to do with, if I could put it this way, the sun being the seed of your character, this 10th house being the fruit or the flower of what you are destined to become. And that, we mentioned already, is going to be a significant theme for you this year as a result of the karmic pointer here in this area. July 5th, another eclipse, this time in Capricorn, bringing you back to balancing your family needs and affairs with these professional activities. There's a December 15 eclipse here again. Do you see the repetition? 10th house, 4th house, and here now this 3rd house. So I think this has a very strong effect on shaping your character, which naturally shapes your destiny. This has to also do with travels, journeys. This latter part of the year, I think, is going to be very, very busy for you. And the 3rd house has to do with, along with this 6th house, getting your scheduling in order, getting your appointments and your time management sorted out this year. The last two important eclipses, I've got eclipses on the brain. The last two important transits I'd like to mention are the transits of Jupiter and Saturn. 17th of December, Saturn, and the 19th of December, Jupiter, transiting into this 5th house of creativity. And that's an important focus as the year concludes. And hopefully you'll grasp this a little earlier in the year, that this creative impulse should be underpinning all of these other aspects that I've talked about. Your career and your human relationships. You need to be creative. So I think part of the lesson for you this year is breaking free of the habits that undermine your work, your key relationships, and your self-development as a whole. So I hope that's helped. Right now I have a 3,000-word essay, an article, a blog that I've done on Libra for 2020. It goes into all of the detail of the different departments of life. And whereas I've only given you the main focal points of 2020, that document is going to show you precisely the important transits that are all colouring the background of these punctuating eclipses that I've focused on here. Do take a look at that. It's at astrology.com.au. I'm here if you need a more detailed analysis on a one-on-one basis for what's happening for you. If you've got any specific problems, drop me a line here. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in February. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.